What word would you use to describe my skin tone? I have some suggestions.
Okay.
If you can't think of
Was this a discussion you had with somebody recently?
No, I was just thinking about it right now.
I'm jealous of your skin tone. You're the skin tone I wish I was.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
So, do you have any descriptor?
I'd say tan, but it's not because it's your natural skin tone is my dream tan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dream tan.
Yeah.
That's me. Dream tan.
I'll think about you're more latte than mocha.
Okay.
You're like a latte.
Mm-hmm.
We can do better than that.
I have a couple suggestions.
Gotcha. Sand snake. I'm having fun now.
Yeah. I have ochre.
Oh yeah. But that's a deep cut. That's for the artists out there. If you haven't squeezed paint out of a tube, you don't know what ochre is, or painted your house recently.
Obviously, you can go a little lazy and do caramel or caramel.
Yeah. But there's a yellowish that you don't have. Yeah, no, the caramel has more yellow than you do.
Okay. Cedar.
Cedar's nice, but it also evokes a nice smell.
I've been told I smell good.
You do smell good.
Thank you. Almond.
Yeah, it's a little darker than you.
Mm-hmm. Dusky. I'm not quite dusky, I don't think.
And also, dusky's too close to musky.
Yeah.
And that
evokes bad smells.
Exactly.
And my last suggestion, butterscotch.
Butterscotch! I like butterscotch. I also love butterscotch.
Who doesn't?
I had butterscotch in an ice cream the other day.
It's the most
delicious.
Best thing about it.
Butterscotch.
Welcome once again to Noah Snark. We're two former religious types and current snarks take a look at religious media on its own terms.
I'm Hillary.
And I am Josh, aka the Butterscotch Warlock.
I thought you were going to come up with some sort of angry atheist shit, like...
I thought about it and I was like, fuck that.
But you're not an angry atheist.
I'm not that angry.
No. Wait. You know what we did not go over? What would you call my skin tone?
Oh.
Marshmallow.
You're not quite marshmallow.
I'm close. Marshmallows don't have as much blue as I have.
Yeah. Let's see. We need something slightly ruddy.
Right. Ruddy? Oh, right, because of the redness. Red and blue. Let's see.
American.
Fuck you.
You're white?
Because it's more of a it's baby red and baby blue. More pastels.
Your baby America. Your 13
I'm a gender reveal cake.
If someone
fucked up.
Yeah, they didn't realize what they were supposed to do.
Or they just found out they had twins.
Ah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Anyway, moving on.
Before we begin with the episode proper, what are our hits and misses from the Fool episode?
I'm not sure if I have any hits or misses, but there may have been a failure of explanation on our part when it comes to just dropping the names Molly and Nugget.
Oh, yeah.
Which I'm not sure. We've mentioned that you have cats in the past, but in the last episode we actually interacted with them as if they were humans. No audience. There are not two humans named Nugget and Molly just hanging around us. Those are Josh's cats. Mm-hmm. And if you remember correctly, we gave Molly the task of keeping us in check. And currently she seems to be doing well at that.
Mm-hmm. She's sitting in my lap.
Yes.
Keeping me in check.
Watch it.
She's watching me.
Yes.
Now, I don't know any hits and misses I had for last time. I think we got most of our points across. I just wanted to take the previous episode and tell you, it seems like you've already figured this out, but I feel like this one we're doing today, since it's still a Ray Comfort thing, is going to alter your opinion on him. Because you did spend...
Me?
You particularly. You spent some time on the last episode giving him some benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think he's so bad, he's just really dumb. Which is still true.
That hasn't changed.
Okay. Well, I just think he's just real bad.
I don't think he's bad. I think he's really dumb.
Yeah. He can be both. He can be dumb and bad.
No. I mean, yes, you can. I agree with you. But I don't think this is the case, yeah. But we can talk about it.
We will. So today, what are we talking about?
Another Ray Comfort piece of trash.
Called?
The Angry Atheist.
That's right.
Josh.
Yes.
This video gave me a rash. An actual one. Want to see?
Yeah.
Look at my chest. Is it still red? It was really red before I left my house.
Yeah, it's red.
Yeah. I woke up. I was fine. I had some water. I started this. 15 minutes in, I'm like, my chest is on fire! That's not an over-exaggeration.
I'm going to cut that into the...
Clear. Yeah.
True. Because as a lot of Ray Comfort stuff does, and we've already moved on clearly to what we're in for today,
right?
It meanders.
Yeah.
Because Christians, we've seen this in everything we've seen, most things we've seen so far, think that the more cuts, the more loose storylines you have.
It is a theme. Yeah. It's a trope now.
It makes it better. So, like, because a lot of movies are...
I don't even know if that's their point of view. I don't think they know. I don't know if they know if it makes it better. I think, like, maybe.
This is how you make it legitimate.
Or over-editing, or over-cutting, or however you want it, jump cuts out the ass is usually just a sign of incompetent filmmaking. I don't know if they're using it as a tool to appear legit. I think it's more of like just a sign that they don't know how to get their point across. Like, they could not do a long take and make their point.
Yeah.
It has to be pieced together like a collage more. It's more of a collage than a cohesive painting.
Right, and I might disagree with you on that.
Yeah.
Because it's not so much what I was saying, because we also like to include a lot of storylines. As though the more you have...
Also true.
Like, it makes it a legitimate movie if you have 6 storylines. But, no, it doesn't.
Again, working hard against the cohesion.
But yeah, it's this idea that if you have lots of things going on at the same time, it makes your movie more legit.
Right.
Even if most of them are unsatisfactory, most of them are pointless. This YouTube clip and The Fool were exactly the same.
Mm-hmm.
He could have easily told his weirdly meandering story from The Fool in one straight shot without this, like, here's Jorgen. Also, here's a random person I talked to on the street. Did you remember that time I said Bortz for no reason?
Yeah. It was like that. It was more like just him, like, this is what I said to this guy, this is what I said to this guy, and it's with no...
And, like, that was already bad enough.
Yeah.
Because even if you take out the extra stuff, but then there was extra stuff, it's like, why is there extra stuff?
I don't even think a competent person could take his rough footage and put together anything that works.
Yeah, and then this one's the same thing. It's really about one person, but he has to include one Comfort and one other guy. 2 guys.
There's another guy, but it's about Ray Comfort.
But then he has to include interviews with witches.
Yeah.
And a guy.
Yeah.
It's like, why is this here?
Because
God's not dead. Why are there 7 storylines?
Exactly why they're here in this one, and that's because he didn't convince the atheist, but he needed to show him converting or evangelizing to somebody.
Others,
yeah.
It's one of those things that irritates me every time I see it.
No, I know.
It's in everything we've done.
I hate him. Or I hate his movie making, storytelling, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
It was very, very difficult for me to sit through the 30 minutes that this was.
Yeah,
it felt like 2 hours.
All right. So let's just open as we open. We open to Ray Comfort doing his usual shtick.
Yeah.
At this point, he's preaching at people on the street. He's on a little box. He's yelling over things.
There's a boy on a box. He has a handful of dollars. We know why he's there.
Yeah, he's
getting a handful of dollars.
He's getting some attention. He always draws a bit of a crowd.
Right.
I've done it when I was in Savannah for St. Patty's Day once. I saw a street preacher. I was like, I want to hang out with this guy.
Yeah, that's you. That's exactly what's the difference between you and I. I have never for 1 second given them more than 30 seconds, and that's how long it takes for me to pass them.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a guy who was standing on the street corner of the MARTA station that I had to get on for school back in the day. Every single day in the same spot. There's nothing. You couldn't pay me to stand there and give any time to that nonsense.
I was somewhat amused by it. And as we've talked about, I don't take this stuff out. I'm not going to go on the street corner and do it myself.
Right.
If you want to yell at me, I might engage. I might. I may not. But I might.
I will become physically violent if someone tries to force me to stay and listen.
In my defense, I was hammered.
Gotcha.
So I was having a good time because I was really drunk.
Had I been sober, stay in Savannah.
Right. Had I been sober, there's no way I would have. I want to do this. I'm having a good time.
And you know, so the only time I went to Savannah for St. Patrick's Day was to visit my brother who was going to SCAD. And he wasn't legally able to drink. And I wasn't, going to get my brother shitty, which wasted if he didn't want to be anyway. So we barely drank. We mostly went out to people watch. Found a whole bunch of abandoned things on the ground. So I ended up with a wallet. Don't worry, I put up all the cards and did all that stuff. Did keep the money because it was there. And there's no way in hell I'm going to find that person. And then, like,
how much money?
It was like $20 max. $20. It was nothing. Like, if they had like $200 in there, I would have done it whatever I could.
Right, $20.
Yeah,
that's just the person who's smart who knows they're going to lose their wallet.
Yeah, or it's the person who already spent a shit ton of money on booze and therefore lost their wallet. Yeah, like bags of gifts that people had bought, like just like, a tin full of candy, cool. Like it was like a video game where I'm just like picking up loot everywhere.
Outside of talking to the street preachers,
yeah,
I also on that trip had the best hot dog that has ever existed.
Because you were wasted.
No.
Okay.
At around 3 a.m., things are winding down.
Yeah.
There is a literal hole in a wall, and someone is selling hot dogs out of a cart. They have a line down the street. We're all waiting.
That is brilliant business.
It's $3. It's not even a crazy amount.
No, yeah, street vendor.
And they have a line. It's crazy. And I get this hot dog, and it's literally, to date, the best hot dog I've ever had in my life.
Was it the hot dog itself that was great, or the toppings?
It was the hot dog. The toppings were good, too.
Right.
I'm pretty good at distinguishing I'm really drunk and I love this versus this is just good.
Right.
This is, and I asked everybody in that line was like, no, this is seriously the best hot dog I've ever had.
I want that hot dog right now.
I know. And then we went back.
I had a cookie for breakfast. It was a mistake, but now I want a hot dog.
And because we weren't exactly sure where we were pretty drunk, we went back the next day. We retraced our steps. We found exactly where it was. And it was literally a hole. And it was technically like a house, but it was abandoned.
Yeah. Because it's a cart.
Yeah.
And it just moves.
But I'm just like, where did this person come from, and why are they a genius? Like, to date, I'm not sure that they were a real person. It was just a phantom. A mass hallucination.
Well, you know, Savannah's one of the most haunted cities in the world.
Yeah, but goddamn, that ghost hot dog was good.
I'm jealous. I've never come across street hot dog there. I love Savannah. I used to go all the time.
We still, honestly, talk about hot dog. Anytime, like, St. Patty's Day comes up.
I would love to go on a trek and try to find it.
One of the, 8 people we were with that went on that trip were all like, that hot dog, though. We're like, I know!
You can't get me down there for St. Patrick's Day again, but I'll go to Savannah anytime. I fucking love Savannah.
Okay, so that was a lot about Savannah. Let's talk about the movie.
I guess, if we have to.
While Ray is doing his street preaching, this man is Andre, interjects. And he points out that comfort is a liar. And he presents a version of the problem of suffering.
Yeah.
You know, if God is omnibenevolent and omniscient and omnipotent, why are there people who get cancer or a parasite that eats the eyeballs of children or hurricanes or fires, anything like that?
Right.
Essentially saying that a just, good, kind God would not allow these things.
And if there is a God and he allows these things, then is he just?
Right.
Yeah,
it's not worth worshipping even if he exists.
Right.
Comfort does this ridiculous thing, where when the man says, don't listen to this shit, the shit is bleeped out by a literal explosion sound, then glass breaks, while the screen puts up a big banner that says, expletive.
Yeah.
We are 1 minute and 7 seconds into this thing.
Yeah.
And it's just like, well, really, Ray? Like, you can't just bleep it, or explode it, or glass break it?
And got a goddamn.
Well, yeah, he's, you ever blasphemed?
Yeah.
You ever said the Lord's name in vain?
I hate this guy.
I know. But that's such a horror. We're a minute in.
Yeah, I know.
And you're already being an absurd person. Any one of those ways to edit would be fine, but all 3 of them together?
Yeah,
what's wrong with you?
And, because he doesn't know how, this is not a movie, this is not anything. This is child's attempt at making a movie.
But Andre...
Or someone with a child's intellect, shall we say.
Andre continues to talk about the multiple horrible things advocated directly by God, if we take the Bible as a literal thing, including rape and genocide. Ray challenges the guy to show him where God advocated raping anyone, conveniently ignoring the genocide.
Yeah.
And continues with his preaching while a ticking clock sound effect happens in the background of this.
To show us that this guy, the guy's looking on his phone trying to find the passage that he was thinking about. And, Ray, it's just so, what's the word? It's, condescending.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I guess the point here is to demonstrate that this guy, who clearly came off the street, didn't come prepared, because why would he? But Ray asks him to stay, and he jumps off his stage, and we cut to interviews. Because what would a Ray Comfort thing be without pointless interviews?
An attempted interview.
So now he's talking to
deeply one-sided interview.
He's now talking to a pair of women who are Celtic witches. And he asks them if they are white or black witches, and he's correct that the white and black dichotomy isn't really a thing. It's more like electricity.
Yeah.
A neutral force.
That's what one of them says, yeah.
Yeah. So now we cut to a different guy who says that he's spiritual, rather than religious necessarily, and doesn't think that God is angry with him.
Not yet. Boy, will Ray make sure he hates himself.
Because, and this is the point I was making earlier, because Christian creators, quote-unquote creators, still haven't figured out that cutting something is not evidence that you can actually make a coherent film, and in some cases actually provides counter-evidence to your filmmaking competence.
Yes.
We go back to Ray and Andre at the beach. Like, why?
No, I don't know.
They were...
Complete one thought, then move on to the next. Yeah.
Yeah, because, he and the interviews he was having hadn't even had any conversation.
No, it's not like, and cutting going back and forth between different interviews is that thing that can be done to make a point or find some, connections between what people are talking about, what he's talking about, the different ways that interviews are going. But the choice of clips that he's using to jump from and to have nothing in common. Right. There's no reason for them, and you don't get a sense of anybody's point of view or thoughts. I'm itchy.
You get that rash?
Yes.
Yeah, let's think about, I don't remember the director this was, but it was a movie that came out relatively recently, in the last few years. And in a lot of the scenes, the last line of the scene would be the first line of the next scene. So it would be a pretty harsh cut, but that's how you make a harsh cut that actually proves that you know what you're doing. Right,
you can do it with dialogue, you can do it with visuals, zooming into a blue space and zooming out of a blue space in the next scene, that kind of... There's something that can make something fluid and work.
Yeah. Actually, magic is more like electricity. It's neutral.
Yeah.
I'm not spiritual, but I'm religious. That's not.
No.
Those are not two things that are any way related.
No.
If you're going to cut, at least give me, a fade out or something.
Right. And if you don't have something that connects them, then at least linger long enough to where we get some of the interview and we know why you're even talking about it.
Right. And just as Andre and Ray are about to start talking, we cut again to the interview with the spiritual, not religious guy. So, witches, new guy. Back to Ray and Andre.
Yeah.
New guy again.
Yeah.
Before, it's literally
ask me what I've learned. Ask me what I've learned.
It's 7 seconds.
Yeah.
So, we're talking to the new guy, and God's not angry at this guy. But he's not happy with everybody. Mm-hmm. According to Ray, I guess. I don't remember who said what. Ray brings up a type of person, rapists. And the interviewee claims that they are forgiven just like everyone else. And Comfort challenges that no good judge, which God is, a good judge, would forgive a rapist or a murderer or XYZ, worst person ever. They throw the criminal in the electric chair. So if God just forgives these kind of people, then he's an awful judge. That's Ray's argument.
Is he actively working against himself in this part? I don't know. I don't have any thoughts about him at all. I just find it really irritating how flippant about his own hyperbole he is, and his own, when he makes statements like that, they're with, blatant falsities, and then how nitpicky he is about everyone else's language and language choices. That really irks me.
Yeah.
He harps on the smallest thing that Andre says and just goes wild on it when it's Andre's not speaking ridiculousness. He's being pretty...
He's passionate but reasonable, I think.
Yeah, I think so. He's clear. I really feel for Andre. He's a younger guy, and he seems like this is he's really hurting. Andre's upset. He's not an angry atheist in the way that he's just hateful and just wants everyone to fucking die.
So after talking to the spiritual guy, we're back at Huntington Beach again, and Ray asks Andre why he is an atheist. Andre answers that he used to be one, but he realized the church is full of hatred.
He used to be a Christian.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
He realized that the church is full of hatred and bigotry, and a good friend of his pointed out that he doesn't need to be religious to be a good person. Ray's narration now, because he pretty consistently cuts through this to give his own narration.
He doesn't actually show his actual response in real time to Andre or anyone for the most part. Well, he does later with the other.
Yeah, he gets a couple of points out there.
Yeah.
But let's be clear. Ray is not a coherent enough thinker to have done this in the moment.
Right. So what he's actually doing, and this is really how he films his interactions with Andre, he shows Andre fumbling his words a little bit, but actually making a good argument and expressing himself well and being reasonable.
While in a studio.
And then it cuts to not to Ray in the moment reacting to him. It cuts to it's still on. The camera's on Andre, but it's now being dubbed over with Ray Comfort's argument against him, while
having
also
had time
having
and
had
effort
exactly
and did a nice studio where you can hear him.
Right, or maybe he could have talked to some smarter people, like, what would you have said in this situation? And then said that over it, while also making fun of Andre's, even if Andre, like, thinks about his words a little bit, he's like, oh, what's the word for it? You know, this is what I'm thinking, and he's having a real conversation, so obviously there's some and what, questioning. He makes fun of that, and then makes his argument out of the completely separate from the live interaction, which is the most horrific, like, blatantly unfair. Ugh, whatever. I'm getting all itchy again.
So Ray's narration claims that his friend was right. Andre's friend was right. You don't need to be religious. You just need to make up your own definition of good.
Mm-hmm.
So then we watch him going through the "Are you a person?" test with another person to demonstrate something I'm really unclear about.
He loves asking people if they've lied before they're telling them they're liars.
Yeah.
And does not see the problem with that.
Mm-hmm.
And that really infuriates Andre. He hates that. Which I do too.
So he starts his "Are you a person?" test with
Are you a good person test?
I call it the "Are you a person?" test.
Oh, right.
Everyone has done almost all.
He calls it "Are you a good person?" But really, it is like, "Are you human?"
Are you human? Have you done human?
Well, then you're going to hell.
Have you ever pooped?
Yeah. That's concentrated sin coming out your butt.
He starts by asking if the guy's ever used the Lord's name in vain, and why it's used as a cuss word when even the names of the worst people, like Hitler or Stalin, are not. He goes further on, in narration again, to claim that it's because the world is evil and hates Jesus Christ, and to contemptuously uses his name as a swear for that reason.
Yep, he doesn't understand that either.
He doesn't understand how swears work.
Nope.
Because one only has to look at his exact reaction to it to see why it's a cuss word. Saying Jesus Christ or God damn or any number of other things is done exactly because people, like Ray's dumb ass, don't like it.
Yeah.
That's how swearing works.
Well, and also, if you are a believer and you use it as an expletive, that is blasphemy because that is what you believe. But also, it makes sense to use that, like Hitler, damn it, doesn't make sense because no one believes Hitler has the power to damn things from heaven. So saying "God damn it" is saying, like, I believe in God and I want God to curse this thing because I hate it, which is, abusing your relationship with God or whatever, and that's why people say "God damn it."
And we are society strongly influenced by Christianity,
right?
So
and
our cuss words tend to be things that the society would consider impolite.
Right.
That's what cuss words are.
Yes.
That's why shit is a cuss word.
Yeah.
No one likes poop.
I guess so. I still don't really I've never had an issue with cuss words in a way that I'm like, I don't understand why we've decided that these are the words that are a problem. I don't think "fuck" is a bad word. It's my favorite word.
It's the exact same reason that any words come into fashion and out of again. Because societies and language changes.
Right.
Zunes.
No one's going to murder me for saying I bite my thumb at them anymore.
Zunes is not used anymore, but we picked up fucking meantime.
Yeah, Zunes? Where's that from? I don't know.
It means God's wounds. You can find it in old Shakespeare stuff.
Ah, like the thumb biting.
Yes, because then it was like Zunes! Or Zounds.
Zunes is darn in French.
But now we don't say that because it's like, what? No.
Right. No, I wouldn't be offended by that. Why use it?
Right.
Yeah.
And in places where Jesus isn't such a big deal, there tends not to be cuss words associated with him.
Yeah.
And to prove my point, I looked up some cuss words in Chinese.
Oh, fun.
And you know what I found out?
What?
A lot of them are about eggs.
Is it a woman thing? Is it like...
No, they just have this thing where they will call you a type of egg, or say a type of egg, and it means different... They're like very mild cusses.
Clearly.
Like to say rolling egg to someone means like, get out of here. I'm not listening to this.
That is amazing.
Right? Or to call you a bad egg means like you're stupid.
I know that one. I know bad egg.
But there's like 8 phrases all about eggs.
That's so funny.
That mean different social things. Like, get out of here, stop talking.
Right.
You're really dumb, not interested.
Yeah.
All these.
Most of ours have to do with genitals.
Right. We have a lot of genital because we're weirdly puritanical.
Puritanical mixed with hypersexual.
But then I went further in and I saw that they, of course they have rough equivalents for fuck, shit, bitch, damn, all that stuff.
Right.
There's lots of ones about vaginas and prostitution.
Yeah.
One of my favorites was RB, which directly translates to double vagina.
You are a double vagina.
And is used
It's like, they're worse or better than a vagina.
It is used to mean you're a fucking idiot. So if you call someone an RB...
a little misogynistic, yeah.
And one of the things that was listed as one of the worst things you can say to somebody in Chinese, because they don't have the Christian tradition so much, is fuck your ancestors.
Damn!
You see, because in
That's
China,
what they value.
They value your ancestors.
Right,
and if you say fuck you and your ancestors, those are fighting.
That's like saying, fuck your mom.
This stupid point.
Yeah.
Why is Jesus used as a cuss word? Because you get upset about it, you idiot.
Yeah.
Fucking RB.
And because we are in a Judeo-Christian society.
Right. I'm sure if you go to a neo-Nazi rally, you could say, Hitler, damn it, and someone will be upset. Because they're fans.
Because they're fans.
We're back to the person test. And the guy that he was giving it to earlier, he is now revealed to be a lying, thieving, blasphemous, adulterer at heart.
Right.
And this clearly makes him not a good person.
Yeah, and it actually upsets him. That bothers me. Like, you should really be able to think about this better.
Now back to the narration. Ray tells us about how Jesus told us that only God is good, or, as he's defining good, morally excellent.
Right.
So back to the witches. They point out how stupid the idea of Adam and Eve is, and when asked what the first being or cause was, conclude that it was just something they don't actually know.
Right.
Which is an acceptable answer.
It is.
But Ray thinks
it's the only answer.
But Ray thinks this means something because he's so sure he's clearly right.
Yeah, he does. He likes to point out that it's ridiculous to think that something came from nothing, and that, because one of the women points out that, she doesn't see it as God. Everybody has their own version of God, for the most part, if you have any belief in the afterlife or a higher being. And she's like, I think that there are multiple gods. And, his reaction to that is well, where do they come from? Who made them? I'm like, well, who made your God? You realize that you haven't made that argument for yourself yet. Mm-hmm. You also believe that everything came from a God, and you don't have an answer as to where your God came from. So, trying to make somebody look ridiculous for believing that there are multiple gods and they don't know where they came from is so, unaware, unself-aware, no self-awareness, so stupid.
And he's using his confidence about his own answer as evidence that he's got to be right.
Right.
And I'm sure no one in the audience or you have ever met somebody who's really confident about something they were totally wrong about. Huh?
Never, no. Who would do that? No.
Who would ever be so confident?
So, I am sometimes.
Clearly you're right, though.
Oh, well, I'm right.
Of confidence.
Yeah. Say it with authority, and it is right. Yeah.
So we're going back to Andre, and he makes clear that he's not just talking about wars and violence. He's talking about religious fanaticism, like persecution of homosexuals and defense of slavery. Mm-hmm. Never want to be outdone by claims of how fucked up religious defense of slavery is.
Yeah.
Ray now turns to defending slavery.
Sure does.
Through narration, of course, because he's too much of a coward to present this idiotic and disgusting defense to a real person.
Or he did not have an argument, and he had to go look an argument up, and then therefore could dub over once again. Trying to paint Andre as this fanatical, screaming, angry person, he keeps him on the screen and then dubs over with an explanation as to why their slavery wasn't as bad as the American slavery.
And let me tell you why their slavery wasn't as bad as American slavery.
Please tell me, Josh.
Because, and I'm paraphrasing, but according to Ray Comfort, slavery is totally cool if the slave owes you money.
Yep.
Or you beat them in a war.
Right, so the owe you money thing, he doesn't go any deeper than thinking that, this is somebody who owes a debt, and he's paying off his debt by being a slave. He does not acknowledge at all the situation, what made that man in debt to begin with, or the fact that they rarely actually keep track of what the debt is or how many hours that would require to pay off, and it usually ends up being a eternal debt that was being eternally paid off, and this person is a slave until they die.
So let's be clear about Ray Comfort.
Yeah.
He is not opposed to slavery on principle.
Nope.
He's just opposed to the practice of the transatlantic slave trade.
Specifically black people.
Right.
Yeah, that's the bad one.
The fact that in the Bible, there's a specific ruling that you are allowed to give your slave a wife. Mm-hmm. And then free the slave. But keep the wife, unless the slave agrees to stay your slave.
No problem.
Doesn't seem to trouble Ray so much.
Not an issue.
You can kidnap a man's family. Meh.
Yeah.
Kidnap the whole family.
Yeah.
Boo.
You can attack, and rape, and pillage an entire culture. But you beat them. You beat them at war, so they're yours now. You own them. And there is no problem to that.
I don't know if people are necessarily aware of this, but it's literally instructions. Mm-hmm. If you have a slave, you can give him a wife, who you also own. She's also your slave.
Yeah.
They get married. Then when you go to free the slave, you can tell him, but I'm keeping the wife. You can go, but she belongs to me.
Yeah.
And if he wants to stay, he has to agree to be your slave again.
Yeah.
To stay with his family. You're literally kidnapping a man's family, but not the man. And Ray's like, cool.
It's like a blackmail situation. Yeah. It's like, oh, god damn it.
And if they have kids, you keep the kids too. So literally, he could have 9 kids.
God said, it's okay.
It's fine. It's just if you kidnap the man, that's when you're breaking the line, according to Ray.
Right.
Because Ray, if nothing else, is an idiot and clearly a misogynist. Mm-hmm. There's really no other reason for that.
I can't. Yeah.
Okay. So now Ray and Andre move on to war, which can be religiously motivated. And Ray claims that most wars are in fact political. Which, to be fair,
is true, but so is religion.
And that religious wars that were caused by religion were caused by Muslims and not Christians. And then, of course, he goes the classic, atheism has killed the most people amongst all religions.
Nope.
Now, we'd be negligent to point out that atheism is not a religion.
It's not.
But that even if it was, by the exact point that Ray just made, and this is actually something he did in the actual conversation he and Andre had.
I know what you're going to say, go on.
The exact point he just made, those atheists who did kill millions of people were not motivated by their atheism because, as Ray said, most wars are political and not religiously motivated.
Right, and he said the religious ones, like he said the Muslims do it more, but again, that's religious. Mm-hmm.
Just like the Christians who killed 50,000 Japanese civilians in a single bombing in Hiroshima were not motivated by their Christianity. Now, if we want to go through the math and say who has killed more people, atheists or Christians, it's going to be Christians because the majority of people who have fought in most of the wars have been Christians.
Yes.
But we're not blaming their religion for it because we're not idiots.
Yeah, if it's atheists versus Christians, it's Christians. If it's atheists versus religions, it's with, like, all on the religious side. The atheism is going to be a little handful.
I'm not here to dispute the numbers. Pol Pot was horrible. Mao Zedong was horrible. But according to Ray, they weren't motivated by their religion, which isn't even a religion.
Right.
And he's right.
Yeah.
Unless he's trying to make the point against you. Because Ray does not have a consistent philosophy, worldview, logic. He's all over the place because anything he can say to try to pretend he has a one-up on you, he will say.
His argument is literally just a tone.
Yeah, because he's inherently dishonest. Yeah. Ray Comfort is a liar. And I know he's really stupid, to be fair.
I don't think he's lying on purpose. I don't think he's
lying on purpose.
I don't think he is.
I have no room for thinking at this point that he is not aware.
In those moments, I don't think in those moments he's like, I'm going to lie about this. I think in those moments he's like, like they said this thing that was a trigger word, and then I can say this to that. Like he's been trained enough to know the arguments, quote unquote. He doesn't really know how to apply them well. So it's just shouting out the things that the things he knows haphazardly. I
am not disagreeing with you in any real way.
Yeah.
He is too dumb to know that he's doing it.
Right.
But it's hard for me to conceive of a person who is that stupid and is still able to form full sentences. He's been doing it too long to have not learned anything by now. It's been 20 years, and this motherfucker can't even keep his logic straight in his own 3 seconds of movie.
I know.
Because he's a liar for Jesus.
Brain. He has brain damage, most likely, if not by birth.
He's just a liar.
He's just stupid.
So Andre now...
We should wear t-shirts and say, he's a liar, he's stupid. With a picture of Ray Comfort.
We Solution.
Indefensible for comfort.
Ooh, our first merchandise.
It'd be like Team Liar, Team...
Yeah.
Yes! I love that so much. Team Liar. Team Stupid.
Would it be I'm with Liar, I'm with Stupid?
Yes.
We'll talk about it.
No, because that makes it sound like we're on his side.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I love
Andre
it.
now points out the verse in the Bible about how a rapist just has to pay his victim's dad, and then she has to marry the guy. Now, anyone who's heard this verse obviously knows that's fucked up beyond all understanding.
Yes.
But Comfort has a defense, of course. You see, earlier in the book, the Bible, a man who was caught raping a woman was put to death. And Ray claims that the verse Andre is pointing to is actually talking about consensual sex, where they are caught, and then he has to pay the dad to marry the girl.
Basically like a shotgun wedding.
Right. Ray Comfort, unsurprisingly, is lying. Or he's so stupid he doesn't understand how to, read the thing he's quoting.
Honestly, wait, explain that to me, because
I will.
The excerpt that he gave, I would be on that side.
Yeah. Okay.
But also, there's so many versions of the Bible. Which one is he quoting?
He's quoting the King James.
Of course he is.
I double-checked.
The most political one.
Mm-hmm. Now, he even argues that many modern translations translate this incorrectly. So I'm going to use the version that he cites in his shitty little production.
Yes.
This is the original verse he was claiming says, rapist is put to death. But if a man find a betrothed damsel in the field, and the man force her and lie with her, then the man only that lay with her shall die. That's what he's talking about.
Okay.
A rapist was put to death. But unto the damsel thou shalt do nothing. There is in the damsel no sin worthy of death, for as when a man riseth against his neighbor and slayeth him, even so is this matter. Essentially, it's just like when a guy murders somebody.
Right.
That's how this is working.
Right.
For he found her in the field, and the betrothed damsel cried, and there was none to save her. So she didn't want to do that.
Right.
He raped her.
She did nothing wrong.
Killed her. Now, here's the part that Andre was talking about. If a man find a damsel that is a virgin, which is not betrothed, and lay hold on her, and lie with her, and they be found, then the man that lay with her shall give unto the damsel's father 50 shekels of silver, and she shall be his wife, because he hath humbled her. He may not put her away all his days. Now, let's be clear. The point of contention here is lay hold on her, which Ray thinks is apparently just like, hey, let me put my hands on you because we're going to have sex.
Right.
No, lay hold on her is raping somebody.
I can see the argument, though, because I think I agree with you, but at the same time, that is different. That is a completely different thing.
But let's be...
Not a completely different thing. It is a different phrase, and I don't know that phrase for its time period. So it could be something that's more like, and like they fall in love, or he claims her.
I have some additional context that may change this.
Okay.
So, besides how fucked up it is, Ray, even if Ray's telling the truth, that you have to pay her dad to marry a woman.
Right. Well,
he's lying clearly and obviously, and I can prove it.
Okay.
First case was about raping a woman who was betrothed. That guy gets put to death because he violated the man's rights to his future wife.
Right.
In the second scenario, the woman didn't belong to anybody except her dad.
Right.
So even if we're gonna quibble,
okay, no, that's a really good point.
Over laying hold on her
between these two, like the language that's really clearly changed is the betrothed and not betrothed.
Exactly.
Right.
Because the first woman belongs to another man. A single woman
is basically just like just wandering around waiting to be tagged and dragged home.
And apparently you can lay hold on her and lie with her, and that's just fine.
Yeah, but he doesn't have to pay for it.
You can quibble all you want about whether lay hold on her means raping.
Yeah.
Most other translations translate it that way, because that's what it means.
Right.
I can't imagine a phrase, lay hold on her, that means, let's go do this together.
Right. How do you think they handle inflation with the 50 shekels thing?
Yeah, it's like $14.
Yeah, I was going to say, has it been 50 shekels this whole time? Because that could be pennies now.
So in the second scenario, the woman didn't belong to anybody but her dad. So the guy who raped her just has to pay off her fucking dad.
Yeah.
And then they can get married. He contends that the phrase...
You ruined my daughter, give me money.
He does contend that to lay hold on her is meant to imply consent, but that's because he's a vicious little piece of shit. Mm-hmm. Ray Comfort is a horrible person.
He doesn't know that.
Yeah. Well, that's why I'm on Team Liar. And this is a real thing. You can read the verse. I looked it up. I looked it up in multiple translations. I initially used the NIV, but then I realized he was talking about King James, so I got it specifically.
Was the phrasing different in any of them?
Oh yeah, NIV says in the second example, and rapes her.
Oh, does it?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. It says if this guy rapes the first girl, you kill him. And then in the second example, he grabs her, but she's not betrothed.
Right. So it barely counts as rape. It barely counts as rape.
Right, so the NIV is an honest translation.
Gotcha.
And this one still is, because again, lay hold on her does not sound consensual.
It doesn't.
By any metric.
To me, it just sounds like it's claiming somebody, which is not good.
Right.
But it doesn't necessarily mean violence. In my head, I'm saying that could be the argument. But is this entire thing completely misogynistic and terrible?
Absolutely.
Period. Yes.
Not a question.
I do not question that whatsoever. I'm trying to play devil's advocate a little bit.
Now, on this one point, Ray does at least have the balls to tell Andre about this, but it's really only because he's talking fast and he's lying faster, and Andre wouldn't likely be equipped to call him on his bullshit. Even I, in the comfort of my studio at home, looked it up and was like, oh, you're clearly lying.
Yeah.
Or just mistaken because you're so dumb.
Just super wrong. Or, a lot of it sounds like stuff that, again, he has gone through training. There's training that's happened here. And, when people say this, you say this. And I don't think he has the ability to have, to really think, what's the word I'm looking for? Not objectively, but critically. He's not a critical thinker. So when somebody tells him, people are going to argue that the Bible, supports rape and says that rape is okay in certain situations. Then this is the argument for that, and I think he just commits to the argument without critically thinking about it, which is where I think the dumb lies as opposed to the lie. That's me being team dumb.
Ray now asks Andre if he thinks that nothing created everything, because he claims that's what atheists believe. Now Andre has a hard time answering because he's not a fucking physicist, and Ray uses this to demonstrate that he doesn't know everything about everything, and this is useful to Ray's case in some way.
Yes.
Two people who are not physicists argue about physics, and I'm not going to bother with it, because nothing they say is supported by enough evidence to be worth discussing, and I am also not a physicist.
Right.
I couldn't discuss it, even if they were both qualified.
I know, and I respect you saying that, much like I respect Andre saying, this is not my expertise.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Ray
is insisting he talks about it, so Andre's trying.
Right, he's trying, but also he's admitting, he's this is, I'm not an expert on these things, and I don't need to be to believe what I think. I'm you're not an expert. The argument that Andre could have made in that moment is that, neither of us are experts.
So why are you doing it?
You tried to force me to talk about something that I'm not an expert at without talking about it yourself.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
Yeah.
Because I've had people do the same thing to me, and I always proceeded with, I'm not a pro, I'm not a physicist, I don't know.
Yeah.
But here's a notion.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm not going to adhere to the notion. If you tell me I'm completely wrong, okay, guess what changes? Nothing.
Nothing. I already admitted that I don't know a lot about this. Yeah.
But to keep it as simple as possible, Andre doesn't know what he's talking about on this subject about physics, and that's okay, but Ray doesn't either, and Ray takes that as a victory.
Yeah.
Because he's so confident in everything he says.
He's so stupid.
He's so stupid and confident in everything he says that he has to take every minor quibble as a win for himself.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he'd probably collapse into a black hole of despair.
Right. You just crumble beneath the weight of wrongness.
So Ray moves on to giving Andre the "Are you a person?" test, or as he says, a good person, and narrates that when caught in the situation, before he begins, he says, when caught in the situation, Andre will be confronted with the law, and will either be made angry by being confronted with his sins, or he'll have to surrender to the law of the Lord. When asked how many lies he's told and whether he's ever stolen, Andre admits to both, and gets upset when Ray accuses him of being a lying thief, and then points out that this is why he hates religion. They try to put everybody into little boxes and hold that over your head for the rest of your life, actually eternity.
Yeah.
But Ray thinks that this plays into his point, because Andre did get angry.
Yeah.
Because he gave him a stupid rhetorical trick, and that would be irritating.
It's infuriating. It's infuriating. Yeah.
But Ray thinks it supports his point, which is that he's going to get angry.
Which would make me angrier.
So now we're cutting back to the witches before they finish up, and Ray asks if there are still wrong things to do without the Bible to fall back on. They say yes, obviously, like murder, and Ray is baffled about how one could possibly know that without a Bible to refer to. He's giving these people the same test, and everyone's a lying, thieving, blasphemer, and adulterer. And if God judges them on Judgment Day according to that law, they'll be deemed guilty and be cast into hell. They all ultimately conclude, because this is how Ray works, that they should trust in Jesus to forgive their sins. And I think these people are supposed to be the examples of surrendering to the law, while Andre is supposed to be the angry one because he understands how absurd the entire premise is.
Yes.
So, we're moving on to Andre a little bit more. He doesn't handle this last bit as best as possible, to be fair, but no one really does do anything perfectly when they're put on the spot, and they're already agitated.
Yeah.
Because Ray is agitated.
You can just, again, I'm just like, I feel so bad for Andre, not just because of the situation that he's in here, but you can feel his, pain.
Yeah.
He's the next Christian. He did believe at one time, and it seems like it's still really fresh. Like,
I think he even said it was within the last year.
Right, which is that's a really rough, vulnerable time, especially if you're a true believer. For us, I don't think it was that hard because we really just kind of relented to the fact that we weren't believers.
Whereas but I did fight it for a long time.
Did you?
Yeah. As we know, I spent 3 years.
That's right.
Clinging to beliefs I didn't believe. And then I did spend a year or two just fucking mad about it.
Right.
All that time.
Yeah.
Since I was a kid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. See, I was a little more removed than that. Mm-hmm. So I didn't, it's sort of we talked about it on one of our earliest episodes when we played the Jesus RPG, how first the people who lived a long time deeply believing, coming out of faith is like removing a limb.
Yep.
And, for me, it was a Band-Aid. I ripped the Band-Aid off, I'm like, oof, and then that was it. But, it sounded
when Randall was talking about it,
when Randall was
lost a body part.
He lost a body part.
Because he was in it longer than me. I was 16 when I finally accepted it.
Yeah.
That I just didn't believe it.
I was 13, around that age, yeah.
I was 13 when I doubted. So, I wasn't Band-Aid.
Yeah.
But it was a chunk.
Yeah.
Let's say a hand.
A gash.
It was a big gash. It was an open wound.
Right.
And so it really fucked with me for a year or two after that.
Yeah.
And then I was just alright, fine, I'm at peace with this, I'm fine.
And I've talked to a lot of people of varying degrees of commitment to it that had really horrific. It was like losing a family member, losing a body part. And this I can tell watching Andre, you can feel him still reeling from losing this part of his life. And so, despite that, he still maintains his arguments. I like his point of view or whatever, but when he falters, you can tell he's faltering because it's still fresh.
Yeah. And he even says something here that I don't fully agree with, but...
Andre?
Yeah.
Go on.
He argues that it's not God that's the bad guy here, but it's the people that believe in him. It's the Christians. And honestly...
That would be his point of view right now.
Right. And I'm on the full other side. God's the bad guy.
If there is a God, he's 100% the bad guy. I don't believe there's a God, therefore I think that his followers are a problem.
Right, but the concept of a God.
Right.
As we've talked about, whether you can dislike a fictional... or hate a fictional character.
Right.
I am strongly yes, and God is that for me.
I am strongly no, and therefore I don't even consider it an option.
Which is fair. Ray says that God is a great judge, and that he's such a good judge that he'll not only punish Hitler and Mao, but every liar, thief, and rapist. Andre then points out that this is only true as long as they don't apologize to Jesus, in which case any person, no matter how deplorable, gets a free pass to heaven, and that's evil and completely fucked.
Yeah.
And that's true.
Completely true.
He's right about that. So that's the thing. We slightly disagree on whether God's the bad guy.
Yeah.
But he's 100% right about that.
Me.
If you will forgive anybody, there's a hell, and it's for people.
Especially the confessional of Catholic faith. I'm like, oh man, that's a fucking loophole.
Now, I disagree with the concept of hell.
Yeah.
There is no circumstance in which infinite punishment is justifiable for a finite crime.
100% true.
But if there is going to be a hell, and it's reserved for people, there are some people who don't deserve to not go there.
Right.
If we are stuck in a system where someone has to.
Yeah, but there's a lot...
You can't just apologize and be like, I know I killed 12 million people, 6 of which were Jews.
Right.
But we're cool, right, Jesus? And he's like, yeah, bro.
Yeah. Sorry, God. And he's like, oh, all right.
Yeah, that's fine.
I put some water on my head. We good?
We good to go?
We good?
Before I shot myself, I prayed to you a little bit.
Yeah.
That's not acceptable. Again, hell's not acceptable for me.
No.
But if we're going to be stuck in it.
The idea of hell is so extra.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
On the sheer existence of a place like hell, for me, God's clearly a bad guy.
Correct.
There's no good guy who has a hell.
Right.
Period. That's it. Even Buddhist hell, it's a torturous place. They describe it. It's finite. You are there for some ridiculous amount of time.
It's like prison.
3 trillion years.
Right.
But you do actually get out.
Yeah, but in the form of eternity, what is
3
that?
trillion. Yeah,
right.
Exactly. So, the worst hell you can think of that other religions have, and that's some version of Buddhism, obviously not all of them.
Right.
There's a finite crime. But this particular brand of religion, it's like, nah, forever.
Yeah, this is just fear-mongering.
Yeah, an eternity you can't even conceive of.
Yeah, it's so blatantly manipulative.
And then as Andre points out how evil it is that some people could get a free pass to heaven no matter who they are. In narration again, Ray argues that atheists have no position to argue that anything is evil or good because they don't have the supporting of the blah, 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 Jesus, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I stopped. I was like, whatever, I don't care.
No, I know. I was eating cookies.
Now, Ray and Andre finally close their argument by claiming to love and respect the other. And after agreeing to take a book that Ray wrote home with him, Andre makes a final point about how one shouldn't just believe things people say, and should think and decide for themselves after reading about and listening to all sides.
Yes, Andre.
Good thing.
I'm really glad Ray at least showed his closing argument there. Like, he's like, whatever you are thinking or believing or whatever, just think critically. Mm-hmm. Just think about it.
I just wish Ray would take the message.
Yeah.
Because if he thought critically about his own arguments for just 5 minutes.
I don't know what he's cut out. I can tell you it's a lot, especially about the opposing side. But the fact that he let that in, I appreciate. Yeah.
Well, he thinks that it supports his point.
Probably,
He thinks that if you really think and believe it, you're going to come to my side.
You're right, he does. You're right, you're absolutely right. That is his
But that's
point.
fine. You're allowed to be wrong as long as you're giving him a chance.
Yeah.
Ray closes his interviews by imploring his subjects to think about repenting and trusting in Jesus. And that's the end of this thing. Oh my God.
It's over.
Finally. How's your rash?
For Ed, it's not so bad. It's bumpy still.
It looks like you might have gotten some of that out.
Cathartic. I can't wait to go watch a horror movie.
Might have ranted that rash away.
Rant the rash away.
So let's talk about the best and the worst.
Okay, let's see. The best was, I like that, even though it made no sense in the movie whatsoever, I just love women who claim to be witches. I love them. I love witches. Mm-hmm. I don't believe they're real. Mm-hmm. I don't believe power and magic is real, or, like, in that realm. But maybe by their definition of witchcraft, it can be. Basically, I consider holistics to be witchcraft, because it does nothing and is nothing. But I fucking love women who like lean into the witchiness. Yeah, it's like it's a female empowerment thing. That's all I have for the good. What's your good?
My good is going to be that I learned Chinese swear words.
Oh yeah, I love that you learned that so that I could learn that.
Double vagina is a hilarious.
Do you remember what the actual word is?
Erbi.
Spell it.
E-R-B-I. Air is the Chinese word for two. And B is, I guess,
B. That's so funny.
I guess it's pronounced like Erbi.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. That's great.
So now I know double vagina means fucking idiot, and that's hilarious. And also that Chinese has a lot of egg-related insults.
Yeah, that's my favorite thing that you learned.
Just eggs.
Fuck you, egg.
Yes, your fucking egg is what you are.
Yeah.
What's the worst?
Worst is that this was a thing made by Ray Comfort, which I don't need to go into it again. It's just all of the complaints we've had about him from the previous episode, and for his arguments and attempted filmmaking here. He's just incompetent. And it's infuriating and rash-inducing. Mm-hmm.
My worst is going to be Ray's... Oh, man, it's hard to choose.
Yeah, I know.
I'm going to go with the defense of slavery.
I mean,
really
if we're going
to
we're going to pick the thing that he's talking about here that's the worst thing...
That's just the worst thing about it.
Yeah, no, mine is a blanket or umbrella statement.
That's fine. Mine is going to be that specific defense of slavery. And I want to choose the defense of rape because both are deplorable.
Deplorable.
But slavery is more systemic, at least.
I agree.
I think.
I mean, arguably more systemic.
Yeah, and that's why...
Very arguably, actually.
I'm not going to argue with anyone...
towards rape.
I'm not going to argue with anyone who's like, no, the rape is worse. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if we can even say one's worse than the other. More systemic can be argued, but
for me, it was the slavery partially because he was defending an institution of slavery.
Yeah.
No matter, you know what I mean? Like, if you
his
are
argument
opinion,
is worse and wronger in the slave
because
one.
In the rape example, he's defending a solution, a proposed solution, which is obviously misogynistic and horrible.
Right.
But he's
not defending rape itself.
He's not defending rape itself. He still agrees it's bad.
Right.
in the slavery example, he actually agrees with the statement.
Yes.
It is okay to own a person sometimes.
Yes. Yeah, you're right.
If you ever agree with the statement, it's okay to own a person, you are a terrible person.
I'll see you in hell.
I hope you go to hell.
I hope I'm right next to you. Because yours, like, if I was next to him in hell, I would actually get a little joy out of hell.
It wouldn't be so bad after all.
I would be in pain and, suffering, but if I had him screaming next to me, like, ha! Like,
this is not so bad.
Yeah, Schadenfreude.
So, it's time to talk about what we're doing next week.
Okay.
Hillary, what is it called?
It is called Leap.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that is. Tell me about it, Josh.
It is a movie about Christianity and parkour.
Okay. I feel so on board.
So you're going to watch some parkour.
Okay.
You're going to learn about Jesus some more. I'm pretty sure there's an Antichrist in there somewhere.
I love parkour. Did you know that?
Everyone loves parkour.
Does everybody? Because I think a lot of people make fun of it. And I don't think...
People make fun of parkour people. Good parkour is awesome.
Okay, parkour is fucking rad.
Yeah, I don't know if you understand this. The parkour in this movie is not good.
That makes it even better.
But it is about people doing parkour and saving the world because of Jesus.
Oh, fuck yes.
So it's going to be great.
This sounds like a delight.
So get really hyped for that.
I'm hype already.
You have the link already. It is on YouTube.
Oh, thank you. You sent that to me. I will do the thing.
And remember, as always, if you like the show, please give us some of those 5-star reviews on whatever podcast app or service you are using. Tell your friends about us any way that you can, because we really need the help.
Yeah.
Links to everything are in the description of this episode. That's all of our social media and some other stuff. And please go to the website and you can send us a comment or a question for our mailbag segment, which doesn't yet exist. But will.
It's true. Also, if you have an opinion about whether or not you would purchase a Ray Comfort t-shirt.
Team Liar or Team Idiot?
Yeah, let us know, because I'd put my money in on that. I would actually produce those. I'd wear them, I'd produce them. If you would join us and wear them as well, or at least tell us what side you fall on. I'm very curious.
I'm curious.
Yeah.
From what we've told you.
Yeah. From our points, which I think both of us made our points pretty clear.
Is he a liar or idiot?
Is he a liar? Is he an idiot?
Or both.
Or both. I mean, he's obviously both.
He's obviously both.
Yeah.
But it's which one is more dominant.
Right. So.
And as always, thank you so much for listening.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you.